All right, Omar, thanks very much for being with us. My first question for you, the Steelers won the AFC North last year. A lot of people didn't predict that. I don't know if you pay much attention to that kind of thing, but you have quality wins over teams like New England, who was in the Super Bowl, Detroit, Baltimore. How would you categorize that 2025 season?
You know, we won some good games, but the reality is our goal is to win a Super Bowl, and we didn't reach that goal, so anything short of that's not good enough, and we're in the process of evaluating everything we did last year and trying to get better and improve, because ultimately our goal is to win a Super Bowl.
The season ended and Mike Tomlin announced his resignation. It seemed to catch all of us by surprise. What was your reaction when you heard the news?
Yeah, same. You know, he came and met with me that morning, the day after the game, and he told me what he was going to do, and I was surprised as everyone else. You know, we've been together with him for 19 years, and he's been a great partner. You know, it's been truly been an honor to work side by side with Coach T. And but yeah, I was surprised like everyone else.
So I'm sure that now you have to go through a process you probably weren't expecting to, which is hiring a head coach. What made Mike McCarthy the right guy to hire?
So we were very open-minded, and we did cast a wide net, trying to figure out, you know, trying to find the right guy. Interviewed some great candidates. Really, the process was really proud of the process that we ran, and you know, Art Rooney led that, and it was tremendous. But as we went through the process of, you know, we evaluated where we were as an organization and where we are as a team. You know, it just felt right. You know, it became evident that Mike McCarthy was the right choice for us, and it's been great so far. You know, we've been nonstop since he got hired, but it's been good. Excited.
You know, everyone talks about the combine, and that's exciting, and free agency, but Coach has to know his own roster too. So how does he get up to speed? How do you help him get up to speed with evaluating what he currently has, which will be the bulk of what he has in 2026?
Yeah, so I can tell you, he was extremely prepared when we went through the interview process. You know, I was really impressed about how well he knew our roster, and obviously there's things he doesn't know, things that happen that are going on inside the building that no one else knows, and you know, it's been part of the last month. You know, we communicate multiple times a day. You know, we've been working long hours trying to get to know each other, and that's been part of the process.
His press conference, one of the great things he said was being flexible with the players on the roster, tailoring the system to them. That having been said, are there minor tweaks of what he might want at a particular position as opposed to what you have or what you might be scouting leading up to free agency in the draft?
Yeah, certainly. There's going to be some things that are different than or he's going to expect different things than maybe, and that goes coach to coach, right? Every coach is going to be a little bit different, but for the most part, you know, I think he's excited about the pieces that are in place here. We got some good young players and some exciting players, and you know, he's excited to work with them. I know his staff has echoed the same thing.
You know, when you come to the combine, I think maybe a lot of fans maybe don't fully understand the amount of work that goes in before the combine. It's not like you're showing up, shuffling through papers. Hey, what do we have here, guys? You know, so what are some of the milestones kind of leading up to the draft, leading up to the combine, I should say, for you and your staff?
So scouts really spend obviously a lot of their time on the road in the fall, getting ready and evaluating the guys, and we get together in December. It kind of gives me a rundown idea of what the draft is looking like and who the players are. It gives me a good first look, and then what happens is in February we spent a couple weeks locked into that draft room. It's interesting because every day it feels like that room's getting smaller and smaller. But we, you know, it's a grind for 2 weeks there leading up to this, and a lot of phone calls and a lot of sidebar meetings, getting to know the players that are going to be part of the process. And you know, when we come here, this is the next step. There's still a lot of work to be done.
What is the most valuable part of the combine for you?
You know, you guys have heard me talk about, I've said this publicly, about trying to identify guys that are Steelers, that are for us. Certain players might not, you know, fit what we want as the guys to be a Steeler, but they might fit somewhere else. And, you know, what that means, it's sometimes hard to explain because there's so many characteristics and traits of what we want a Steeler to be and to look like. And but when you're in this, you just sort of know. So for me, being here in the interview process, watching these guys, how they interact when they don't know they're being necessarily filmed, and just seeing that, and obviously working out it's all part of it. Just really getting to know them and see if they're meant to be Pittsburgh Steelers.
This might not be a great question, might be a better question 2 months from now, and I'm sure it probably would be, but are there strengths and weaknesses, whether it's position or, hey, the top of the draft is good, or no, there's more depth than top of the draft, or are you still kind of working through that?
Yeah, we're still working through it. You know, as I sit here today, I mean, there's some really good football players. This is a good draft, a lot of talented players, and you know, we have 12 picks, which is a lot. You know, as I sit here today, I wish I had 40 picks. Like, there's some good football players out there. But the spring's really important for this process and allows us to sort out some things and you know, things like the medical and maybe off the field stuff and certain schematic things and things that you learn about guys. But you know, we'll get there. But it's fluid. It's fluid right now.
You and your staff have had 3 really well-regarded drafts. How do you make sure that trend continues? Are there little things that you're still kind of fine-tuning, or is it pretty much a machine sort of by now?
So, you know, it's a good question. You know, I'd say every year after the draft and, you know, we get into the season, we evaluate ourselves, we self-scout ourselves, see how we did and the process and what we can tweak and what we can do better. For the most part, we've sort of identified what we want at every position, so we just we stick to that.
This time last year, there were a lot of questions about the quarterback position. A lot of them revolved around Aaron Rodgers. Here we are a year later. There's still a lot of questions about the quarterback position, mostly revolving around Aaron Rodgers. So what is that? What is the status there?
You know, I've had conversations with Aaron. I know Coach McCarthy has too. We had good conversations, honest conversations. You know, I think we started off last year. We went at this. I think we'd all agree that we probably thought it was just going to be a one-year thing, but it was a really good experience for us and for him, I believe. But you know, we'll see where it goes. You know, I don't foresee this. This isn't going to be like last year where it drags on into June. I think we'll know probably sooner than later. You know, I don't have an exact date on it, but you know, we'll see.
So you've continued to be aggressive in free agency. I don't know if I'm sure you have an idea of this year's class, and certainly guys can be extended. Some of your own guys might be extended. So outside of the combine, how much attention is being focused on re-signing some of your own players and what this year's free agency class might look like?
Yeah, right now it's really on our own guys. You know, that's a priority. We have some key free agents players that we want back. They know we want them back, and we're just going through the process and, you know, meeting with the agents and hoping we can get some of these deals done as we get closer to the start of free agency.
So the combine's an important step, right? We know that, but it's only one step. So what happens after the combine is finished here in Indianapolis?
Yeah, after the combine, we'll get back to Pittsburgh. We'll evaluate how these guys did, see who worked out here, who didn't, and then the pro day start. You know, Coach McCarthy and I, we're going to be hitting the pro day circuit here in March. So are our scouts. And then lots of meetings, lots of conversations, a lot of information gathering, and then the draft will be here before we know it.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask one final question about the quarter zip you're wearing.
Yeah,
NFL draft in Pittsburgh. What is your excitement and expectation level like?
There's no place better than Western PA to be hosting this. You know, we've been talking about this for a long time, and it's hard to believe that it's here. You know, that this is the year, and I'm so excited. I'm getting a ton of requests. I'm sure as a lot of people are, and you know, but my focus obviously will be on picking the players. But I can't tell you how excited I am. The city's excited, the organization's excited, and I can't wait to show. You know, I've been in Pittsburgh now for 25, 26 years, and I've grown. I love it. You know, it's a great place to be, and it has so much. The region has so much more to offer than people realize, and I can't wait for whatever 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 people that are coming to see it to really get an exposure of Western Pennsylvania, because it's special, it's unique, and can't wait.
Omar, thanks very much.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you.